Today, this is what I want to ask you. We are in our second service after COVID at the very pointy end of 2020, and we're about just in a few days' time, a week or so, we're about to step in to 2021. And all of this has been built and everything's been decorated and stuff's happening. And my question is, Coastside Church, what now? What now? What now are we going to be doing? What now is the church going to be doing now? We're back together, and COVID is sort of not gone, but you know what I mean. It's stuff's easing. Where are we going? What are we doing? What sort of church are we? Like, I mean, there's lots of churches, right? So what sort of church are we? Why do we meet together, and what are we doing? And it's not that we're better than any other church, and it's not that we're worse than any other church. We are just our church, Coastside, and surely God's got something for us to do. It's not just be here and sing songs and hear messages and have a cool time down in the lounge room, and our kids get looked after, and you know, we touch the presence of God. There's got to be more than just even coming into God's presence if we're calling ourselves a church. What sort of church are we? Where are we going? Let me ask you a deeper question. What sort of Christian are you? As a Christian, as a believer that says, you know what, I've given my life to God, and you know, I'm glad that I'm not going to go to hell. I believe I've done bad stuff. I believe that Jesus died for that and paid the price. And now I'm walking with God, or I've given my life to God. What now? Like, what's next? Like, what are we doing? And that's the question that I wanted to chat to you about tonight. You know, there's a story here in Luke chapter 5 where Jesus was talking to Simon. And if you get down there in Luke 5 and about halfway through verse 10, it says this: from now on, this is Jesus speaking to Simon, from now on, you will catch men. From now on, you will catch men. That's what Jesus said to Simon. Now, Simon was a fisherman, and you know, that's what he did for a living, and that's how he made his money. That's what he did. That was his thing. He meets Jesus. He gets connected with Jesus. He gets connected with God. He becomes a Christ follower, I guess. And the same question hit him. Well, now I'm following God. What's next? What's now? And Jesus just said to him, from now on, you will catch men. So he pulled their boat up onto the shore, stopped, and left everything to follow him. That's a big verse. Now, church and Christianity, and us and you and me and being saved and following God. I'm not asking you to stop and do nothing else except follow him and now fish for men. That is not what I'm asking you to do. That's what Simon was asked to do. But there's a massive point in this thing, and I want you to listen to me really carefully. That Jesus got him to stop everything and go and become a fisher of men. And in other words, this relationship with God was taken from something that wasn't part of his life, and it was put bang at the very top of his life. And I wonder where the Coastside Church and you as a Christian and us as a church need to, at the beginning of the next year, as we start to go into 2021, whether we are just going to leave our Christianity or our walk with God as something down here that's sort of, we may make a little prayer in the morning, or when we put our kids to bed at night. We may even make it to church. We may even watch this online and say, you know, it's nice. I'm feeling like I've attended, or I've got some sort of spiritual input. And then the rest of our life just continues on as if nothing had happened, and we don't really know God. I know people that tell me they're Christian and are walking with God, and all of their life is spent doing what they would do if they weren't following God. And it's not a stop everything. It's like didn't start anything. Just got saved because there was an offer that you might get your ticket to heaven, and then that's it. Go back to your seat, do whatever you want. She'll be right. And the very minimum comes out. And I want to encourage you that I'm not asking you to stop everything. I'm not asking you not to go to work. I'm not asking you not to spend time with your family. I'm not asking you not to have family days and do all the things that we need to do in life and all of that sort of stuff. But what I am asking or suggesting to you is that somehow we just move the fact of that we have a relationship with God to the top with everything else we do. So if we're at work, people know that we actually follow God. And if the opportunity comes up that they may ask a question, you're there to answer some of the questions about God. So instead of just being at work and that's it, too bad, too sad for everybody else, you are still a Christian at work. And when God opens the door for something, you have got your fishing rod there and you are ready to start to fish when God opens their mouth and start to wind them in a little bit and say, you know what, here we go. God really has helped me. God's done this and I wouldn't have got through this without God. And I know what you're going through, but you should consider God and start to put him closer to the top of everything we do. Family, marriage. Oh, we're married and things are going good or things are going bad. And, is it good or is it bad? Well, what about we just put God in the middle of that a little bit more? And we ask God to help us stay married, help us keep our eyes in the right spot, help us do all the things that we need to do. And it's not a stop everything and just follow him and become a fisher of men, but it's a let's put him at the top of and put him in the middle of everything we're doing throughout our week and not just at the very bottom, last thought, maybe church one week, maybe not, maybe next week, maybe once a month, maybe whatever. It's a lifestyle, not a tick the box because we went to church sort of thing. It's a relationship with God. You see, I'm in a pistol club, right? Which means I shoot pistols. I'll just tell you this quick story. And I shoot with all the other guys that shoot pistols, and that's what I do. And yesterday I was shooting after we put up the fence down here in the church, and I got a really, really cracking score. It was just out of the just 10 of the shots out of the 60. So it's not like I got them all cracking shots, but a group of 10 of them out of 60 was really, really good. I mean, they were all in the black. They were all 9s and 10s. It was awesome. And I said to the guys that were there because they were just mucking around, I said, you should come and have a look at my score. It's really good. And one of them goes, oh, yeah, sure. You thought I was. So I said, no, seriously, have a look. So he comes over and has a look at my score and he sees it's a really good group of 10, all 9s and 10s, and all 10 were, shots were right there. And he goes, well, it doesn't matter about you because you cheat. I said, really? I said, how do I cheat? He goes, we all have to shoot by ourselves. You got the fella upstairs guiding your bullets. I said, all right. Well, I wish you'd guide them a little bit more in some of the other rounds because sometimes God's not watching because they're just going right out anywhere. Here's my point. They know who I am. They know what I do. I may be doing a hobby, but everyone in the club knows who I am, what I do, and will make comments like that all of the time. And I'm out there, fishing for men and letting people know. There's a. I don't tell too many stories, but there is a guy here today, and I won't tell his name, but he's another guy that I shoot with, and he had a grandson that's moved up with him, and he's sitting in the service either downstairs or up here right now, and he said to me, you know what? He goes, you run a church, don't you? This is like a couple of months back. I said, yeah, and he goes, what's your advice on this? Would you? My grandson's coming. Would you talk to him? I said, yeah, sure. I said, I'll talk to him. So I went out with him and spoke to him and everything else, and we had a great chat. And he's a really, 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 really good young guy. And he's sitting in church here today because one of the guys at the pistol club knew what I did, and then asked me to talk to his grandson, who's now sitting in the service right now. It's not about stopping everything. It's about putting God in the middle of everything so people know that they can ask the questions, or if they need help, they know where to reach out to, or if they want the answers, they know it's there, and if they want to get a good score, they need to get saved. You can't get good scores without being saved. They know the truth. And we've got to get to that point where we as a church become fishers of men. And just like Simon stopped everything, left everything to follow him, there needs to be a part of our life that integrates with all of our life, where we do stop everything and we just know that he is a part of everything that we do. It's not about the church building. It's about the people within the church. That's what makes the church, and what are we going to be doing? See, my point is that he left everything, and the reason was because he wanted to become a fisher of men. Now, I want to talk to you about catching men for just a moment, because if our job as a church is now we've got a church and the lights are on and sound's working and the gate's up and the carpet's laid and we're bothered to turn up and we're singing songs and we're hearing messages, it just can't be about that hour that we're together. It's got to be about what we as the church are here for and what we're going to do. And can I just suggest to everybody here in this building that I think the same thing that Jesus said to Simon was that, what, you've got a life and I understand that, but now I want to make you a fisher of men, is the exact same thing that he's saying to everybody in this church, that what, you're in church, you're saved, good for you, you got your ticket and people around to help you, but we have to be fishers of men and women and people, and realize that there's a whole world out there that needs to know what we know in this building, and not in a weird religious way, but in a fair income real way, where there's a real relationship with a real God that's not weird and not crazy and not stupid. And anyone that lives with me or knows with me knows that I am as normal as anybody else. Anyway, debatable, but you know what I'm saying. I'm not some weird guy. You know what Summer said to me? Summer's my second oldest daughter. She said to me the other day, we were talking about something at the dinner table, and she said to me, "Dad, I can't even believe you're a pastor." She said that. I kid you not. And she said that because I was just so on point. I'm just so good at what I do and how I connect with my family. She's like, "Wow, I can't believe you're a pastor." Like, she's so lucky to have a pastor within our family. That's why she said it. Didn't you, Sam? I'm sure it was that. Can't believe you're a pastor. We're so lucky to have a pastor as our dad. It's a good thing. Everyone should have that in their world, because we're all different and we're all doing something. See, let's just get on with it, because I've got a few things I want to say, because I want to give you some practical help about fishing for men. If that's what we're supposed to do, well then, how do we do it? You see, it says here, let me read this next verse. It says, "So they pulled up their boats on the shore, stopped and left everything." Now, let me just talk about that for a moment. I believe that if God's asked you to be a fisherman, then most fishermen have a fishing boat, and they use the boat to be there to help them go fishing. And when they catch the fish, they normally put it in the boat, and then the boat takes it safely back to wherever they're going to take it back and do whatever they do with the fish that they caught. And here's my thought for the day. Maybe we could see the church as the fishing boat, and we are the fishermen. So we have a facility to bring people to, and we have something to invite them to, and something to share with them about, and somewhere we can bring them to help them. It's not just us catching the fish and doing everything, but we can fish for these fish and then bring them to a place where maybe they'll be gutted and cleaned and looked after and eaten, or whatever happens, but on the personal side of people's side, not just the fisher. Is anybody following me here? And I'm just thinking, you know what, where to now? Let's be fishermen. Let's be fisher women. Let's be fisher people. Let's be all of that. Now, if we're going to go out and catch men and women and kids and young people, and in other words, we're going to help win the world, then this church could be seen, as I said, as the fishing boat, and we are the fishermen that are in it. Now, take some notes on this one if you've got your app there, because you can put it in your app. It's hard sometimes to catch fish. I don't know a lot about fishing. I have been maybe 2 or 3 times in my life. I hated it. It was boring. And when we went deep sea fishing, I was sick. And that's about my experience with fishing. So it's not like I'm right up there on the whole fishing lingo and all that sort of stuff. But let me talk to you about some of the skills that you may need to catch fish. One of the big things about catching fish is when you're catching a fish in the natural, you put your line in the water, but you can't see what's down there. It's just like the line goes in, and you've got your line and your hook, and you've put your bait on it, and you might have done everything right, but you cannot see if there's even any fish down where you put the line. It's to me, it's like potluck. The ocean's extremely big. Oh, let's catch a fish. Chuck the line over the side of the boat. Yeah, the ocean's big, and I mean, what if there's no fish there? What if the sharks have eaten them all? Like, what if this spot's a no-go fish zone or something, and we're just sitting here doing nothing? And you got to understand that because you can't see anything there, and you may not get a bite, it's very easy to feel like I did, that I'm just wasting my time when I'm fishing. I tried fishing, but it was a waste of time. Couldn't see if there was going to be any results. Couldn't see if I was going to catch a fish. Now, let me just flip that over to us for a moment. I reckon that all of us at some stage have tried to fish for men. We've spoken to someone at work, or we've done something somewhere, and we've tried to try and lure them in. But you know what? It didn't happen, and they never responded to the advice you gave them, or they never came to church when you invited them, and it was just like stabbing out there in the dark with the 30 friends that are in your work, and you actually stepped out one day to try and influence one to come to church, and you were just so disappointed. It just became a waste of time. And when you start to think that fishing for men's a waste of time, you stop going. I don't go fishing in the natural anymore because I feel like it's a waste of time. But how many Christians have tried being a fisher for men, and because it didn't work the first time, or no results out of it, not even a nibble, not even a bite, you thought it was a waste of time? So obviously the church has got to be doing something else in fishing for men, because fishing for men is a waste of time. Let me tell you something else. You've got to have patience. A lot of patience when you're fishing. You know, you're sitting there waiting for a bite, waiting for something to happen, and if you're there and they're there and nothing's happening, and you are trying to win your friend to come to church, or you're trying to win your friend to come to God, or you're trying to win your friend to get them on that journey of walking with God, it's so easy to not only think it's a waste of time, but if you're not patient because nothing happens or they don't respond, then that's another reason why people just give up on being a fisher of men. I mean, Simon left everything. He's so excited. Jesus said, come with me. Drop everything. You'll be a fisher of men. Yay, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to follow Jesus and be a fisher of men. What could go wrong? Well, can't see where they're at. Disappointment. You've got to be very patient. Let me tell you why you've got to be patient with people. People have a free will. You can put the line out there. You can put the hook on there. You can put the bait on there. And you can dangle it right in front of the fish's mouth. But if the fish just goes, that's not really what I want to eat. I think there's something better over there. The fish doesn't have to bite the hook. That's my point. It may not like what you're fishing with, and the fish could easily swim off. Looks at the bait. I think there's something yummier over there. How much does that happen with people? You're a fisher of men. You got it all lined up, the right meeting, the Christmas service, the outreach service, the this, the that. It's on the line, the hook's there. You get over there, you take it to your neighbor, you take it to your best friend, you're inviting them to church, and this is going to be great. They're going to come, everything's awesome. And they just go, I decided to stay and watch television. You know, when it got to 5 o'clock, it's getting dark. Does anyone know what I'm talking about here? It happens. So if you're going to be a fisher of men, you've got to expect to know that sometimes you can't see where they're at. You've got to have patience. And let me give you something else. Sometimes you've got to play with them on the line. You know, when you actually catch a fish and you've actually got it, you don't just catch it, it gets thin, you go, that's it, wind her in, wind her in, wind her in. If you just do that with a big fish, the line's just going to snap and the thing's going to go away. That's how some people try to catch men. They get that first bite and they get that first conversation and they think, oh, he's going to get saved now. We're going to get him in. We're going to get him speaking in tongues. He's going to be lifting his hands and smack. They go, whoa, this thing's weird, and they're gone. They're never biting on that hook again. When you're catching a fish, if it's a big fish and a good fish, sometimes you have to let it out there, and when it starts to pull, don't keep whining, just even let it out a little bit, let it go a little bit. You have a drag on the fishing reel, and sometimes you set the drag that if it pulls too hard, the rod automatically lets the line go out further, because if the fish is pulling hard in the other direction, rather than you stand on your dig and think this is all going to be great, we're going to get her in the boat, you may have to let it go a little bit. Maybe it's not this year, maybe it's not this week, maybe it's next year, maybe it's next week. You just don't wind the thing in and snap it. You're becoming a fisherman of people, helping people find God. And just because they take a bite and you've got them on the hook, don't be so ambitious to wind that sucker in until it snaps and you never see them again. They don't always have to come to church. They don't always have to come upstairs. Maybe we can just invite them downstairs to the lounge room, and they can sit down there, where it's not this in your face or up and down or hands up and down, whatever they're doing. Maybe they just watch it online. Every single guy that I've spoken to at my hobby gun club, including the guy that brought the guy today, watched something that I said online before they brought him here. They watched it. They watched something. People watch. One of my friends that I share with, he goes, I watched what you said about this topic, and they talk about it. It might just be a 5-minute video. You know what? That's fine. It doesn't mean they have to be here in the boat, doing whatever we do as a full-on being a fisher of men. Just let it out there and wind it back in when it's there, and say the right words, and allow you to massage and let God do the thing. And you're just there as the fisherman. God's the one that's bringing it in. You're just part of that. Can you understand what I'm saying? And I want to help you. Let me tell you about something else. Sometimes you catch them, but they just get off the hook. How disappointing is that? Got a beauty. Oh, she's going to be she's a good one. Oh, it's gone. Oh, it's so disappointing. Like, I thought I had that one. Like, they bit and they were happy and they appreciate the advice they gave on their marriage and their kids, and I could see them starting to come in, and snap, it's gone. Oh, I'm disappointed. These are all the reasons why churches aren't fishers of men. Jesus said, hey, I'll tell you what, if you're going to follow me, get out of your boat, and come and follow me, and I'll make you a fisher of men. And we all know the story. We all know how it works out, but we don't do it. Why don't we do it? Because of these things I'm talking to you about. We get disappointed. They get off the hook. We don't play with them properly and let it go in and out with their free will. We haven't been patient enough. We can't see they're even there when we're chatting. We don't know. I mean, I'm preaching right now and it may go online. I don't know if anyone's going to watch this online. If you're watching online, thank you, because I'm just showing it out into the world with millions of people. I hope one of them goes past this hook. I don't know. But does that mean I'm not going to preach and put it online? That someone may come across this message and go, oh my goodness, I start to see how I need to change my life? I'm throwing it into the middle of nowhere, hoping something bites. That's called the internet. Here, if you're downstairs, maybe for whatever reason, maybe we're just wheeling it in a bit, or you're helping someone else wheel in a bit, or maybe you just encourage someone to do this or do that. Can you hear what I'm saying? Let me tell you something else. Sometimes they actually get in the boat. They actually get the fish in the boat. You've done all of that, and they've come to church, and they're loving God, and they're sitting next to you, and you have got that person in the boat. And the person flips and jumps out of the boat. You ever seen those videos where there's a big fish in the boat and it's going, and out it goes. It flips itself back into the water. Free at last, fish got away. Well, maybe when we're talking about being fishers of men, it's really possible, and I've seen it over and over again, where people actually get the fish in the boat. They get the fish to come to church. They even get saved. They start singing songs. They may even play guitar or be on the piano or help do something. They might even join a team of the church, and a year later they just flip themselves out of the boat. 5 years later, flip themselves out of the boat. Man, I've caught people and thought they were going well and promoted them to leadership and C of M and all the top levels of whatever they think they can do, and they've been there for 10 years, and they just flip out, and they're gone. And I've got to tell you, as a fisherman, as a leader fisherman, I'm so disappointed. Like, I spent 3 years with that guy. That guy was in church with me for 10 years. That one sat next to me for 10 years. That person sat next to me. And then they flipped out. And you're like, what's the point? What's the point of being a fisherman for God? Mark's saying that Jesus said to Simon that from now on you're going to be a fisher of men. Can't see where they are. Not really that patient. I try to play with them, but it never seems to work. I can't get the skill right. I catch them, but they get off the hook, and it's so disappointing. And even the ones I got in here that were my best friends for the last 5 years eventually flipped out of the boat, and now I don't even see them. Let me tell you a fun fact. Billy Graham, one of the greatest evangelists in the world, statistically says that 95% that got converted to God in a Billy Graham crusade no longer follow God or go to church. Now, that's not because he wasn't a great evangelist. It's because there wasn't enough fishermen or enough churches with the right culture to do all the things you need to do once they get saved. It's a big journey once you catch a fish. It could be a 10-year journey and they've still got a free will and flip out, and doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. And I'm preaching to you as much as I'm preaching to me, because all these things can be tough and disappointing. Let me go back to Luke 5, and then I'm done. I'm going to close and we're going to go into worship. But Luke 5:1 says this: one day, as Jesus was standing by the lake, with the people crowding around him and listening to the word of God, he saw at the water's edge 2 boats left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon. This is the lead up to what we've already been talking about today. And asked him to put out a little bit from the shore. Then he sat down and taught the people from the boat. Jesus got into the fishing boat, pushed out, and then started to teach the people from the boat. Jesus got in to a fishing boat. God gets in to fishing churches. The presence of God is full in the Christians that are fishing once they found God. God, I found you, and now I found you. I'm going to keep up my relationship, but I want to fish through my work, and fish through my family, and fish when I'm at the pistol club, and fish wherever I'm at. I fish. I fish all the time. Fish in the super. Whenever the opportunity arises, I got the whole drag thing and the in and out thing worked out pretty good. Everywhere I go, I fish. Everywhere. Everywhere. Today, I'm asking people, come to church. There's people sitting here today, sitting over there. I said, come to church. No, just come to church. Come to church. The other young guy sitting over there, come to church. Come to church. Grandfather brought him. Fishing. No, I'm not just using that as an example today, but I can't be the only one that fishes. Imagine if the whole church fishes. Imagine if instead of me just trying to fish to get you to church, you actually fished and got other people to church. Because now you're saved, become a fisherman for God. See, God got into fishing boats. God gets into fishing churches. God gets into people's lives that are fishing for men. If you want to feel God's hand on your life as you follow him, become a fisherman. That's it. I got no more. The clock's counted down. It's not going backwards, which if it went backwards, I'd know how far I went over. Second week, I guess we could work on that. But that's it for today. That's it. Jesus spoke to Simon and said, why don't you come and follow me and be a fisher for men? He left everything. And that's what he did. If you're following God, I want to encourage you to think about the concept of becoming a fisherman in Coastside Church. Because Coastside Church, as long as I'm the pastor, is going to be a fishing church. And if this is going to be a fishing church or the fishing boat, I need good fishermen in my fishing boat to catch fish. Otherwise, we're all wasting our time. Lord, we thank you today that as we start to reshape, retool our church, as we enter this new building, this new phase, this new year, and we're at church, and there's a lot going on, I get that, but God, we just want to pause for a moment and just say, you know what? I love you. You're my God. I've given my life to you. I do my best and try to come to church, and I'm generous and lots of things I do. But I sort of have given up on fishing. I sort of have given up on praying for my family, my friends. I sort of haven't really been forward at work about what I do and what I believe. The club I'm in doesn't really know that I'd go to church. Help me become a fisherman. Help me be patient. Help me learn how to lure them in. Help me how to not let them flip out of the boat. Help me not to snap the line with my enthusiasm. Help me to just trust you that we're actually fishing together. God, I asked you to breathe on this church. God, whether they're sitting here in the studio, whether they're downstairs in the lounge room, or whether you're watching online, I ask right now that you will move with a breath of your presence, so that people would know that this word that I'm bringing right now it's not only just a word in season. It's something that's very, very, very close to your heart. It's so close to your heart that you sent your son to die. You allowed your son to die so that people might be saved. And now we've accepted you. It shouldn't take so much effort to realize that all you'd want us to do is be a fisher for men, so that other people would hear about the good news that we've already heard. We understand there's a lot of things that can go wrong and disappointments. But God, I want to put it in my heart today. Help me with a nice burden, that I'll be open and honest about who I am and what I believe, and that I will start to take steps in the right direction, to be a fisher of men and women and young people and children and everyone on the planet, just as you are, Simon. In Jesus' name.